Hi there, I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. So glad to have you with me as I take you around San Diego. I'll catch you up on the top stories and look ahead at what's to come. It has certainly been a warm week, though, for us. It's really fueled flames near the border. A wildfire scorched thousands of acres this week and destroyed several buildings. At last check, 3 people were injured and hundreds had to evacuate the area. The Border 32 fire was over 4,400 acres on Thursday night. At that time, firefighters had it about 5% surrounded. 2 men were badly burned and airlifted to UC San Diego. 1 firefighter was treated for minor injuries but is back fighting those flames. 10 structures were destroyed, which includes at least 3 homes. 3 RVs were also destroyed. It was burning just a few miles north of the U.S.-Mexico border, northwest of Tecate. Our Kirsten Holmes has more from some of the people who have been impacted by this fire.
When we saw the fire, I was like, Mom, let's go, come.
We basically got just the basics just to get out of here. And they never notified me, and then it was within 20 minutes that I got the alert. And then we were just like, we just packed whatever we could.
Sayeda and her family are packing up so they can hurry up and get out of the Barrett mobile home and RV park after this video was taken yesterday, right after the Border 32 fire broke out.
How long are you expected to be gone?
Probably, they said until electricity comes back, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Are you prepared to be gone for like more than a week?
No. So we're probably going to have to come back.
Knowing that you're this close to the fire, are you guys going to come back and move back in, or what are you thinking long term?
I guess so. Yeah, we're just going to have to come back.
If you take a look over my shoulder, you can see smoke billowing in the air. And right behind me, you can see what's left of 2 trucks. Now, those 2 trucks were completely destroyed, but this mobile home park that's not too far down the road was left remotely untouched, even though the fire came that close.
It's just our clothes. My husband, he's a diabetic, so his insulin.
Sayeda says this isn't their first run-in with a wildfire.
It's in 2007. It got burned, the whole trailer park, and it was just this part that didn't burn down.
Yeah, now this fire comes on the heels of an excessive heat warning that's in effect right now and will stay active through Labor Day weekend ending on Monday. It's just one of several extreme weather events impacting people around the world. From this oppressive heat to floods and wildfires, Shannon Handy spoke with a Scripps researcher who believes they are all signs of what's to come.
From the coast to our deserts, this heat wave covers our entire region, and it's going to last several days. Now, while that may seem unusual, the researcher I interviewed said this, as well as other severe weather events, are becoming the norm due to climate change. Video captured in Pakistan this week shows flooding so severe the only way out for some is by air. Others have turned to more creative solutions like this rescue operation using a bed frame tied to a zip line. Earlier this summer, Yellowstone National Park was ravaged by floodwater. In Europe, the continent has experienced record-breaking heat, killing thousands. In China, the world's 3rd longest river is drying up, revealing ancient statues. That's in addition to wildfires, which in California are now burning year-round.
Temperatures are clearly warming all over the globe.
Alexander Gershonov is a research meteorologist at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. He studies extreme weather events and how they relate to our changing climate, saying there's no question the two are directly linked. Take this heat wave San Diegans are currently sweltering in, for example. Gershonov says it's climate change in action and a sign of what's to come.
You know, these large heat waves occur from time to time, but gradually they're becoming hotter, longer lasting, more frequent, and also more humid.
According to Gershonov, of all the extreme weather events, heat waves are most directly related to a warming climate and the most deadly. As for rainstorms, while they're becoming less frequent, hence our ongoing drought, Gershonov says when they do happen, they're more extreme.
Because in the warmer atmosphere, there's just simply a larger ability to hold moisture. More moisture in the atmosphere means that more of it falls out.
That means more communities, including in San Diego, are at greater risk for flooding. Not only that, but melting glaciers and warmer temperatures, which cause water to expand, have led to sea levels rising.
Rising sea levels mean that there's more coastal erosion, beach erosion, cliff erosion, and all the problems that go along with that.
Shannon, thanks. Well, now to San Diego State University, where the athletics director and head football coach held a news conference Monday to talk about their upcoming season opener this weekend at Snapdragon Stadium. But that's not what they ended up talking about. The questioning focused instead on a lawsuit involving 3 former Aztecs football players and the alleged rape of a teenage girl last year at an off-campus party. CBS 8 sent David Gottfredson to the news conference to get some answers.
San Diego State's plan going into the news conference was to have the head football coach and the athletic director read prepared statements and then move on.
There's no protecting anyone. We're not here to do that, and that's part of being accountable.
But the questions just kept pouring in, not about the upcoming season opener, but about the alleged rape of a 17-year-old girl in October at an off-campus party.
Are you aware of any other players that are involved in this and you're just not cutting them, you're waiting for them to be named?
Again, we'll take questions related to the game this weekend. If there are none, then we can end the press conference.
3 former Aztecs players were named as defendants in a civil suit filed last week, including punter Matt Ariza, who was drafted by the NFL and then cut from the Buffalo Bills over the weekend, along with 2 former Aztecs players.
I can confirm that Pa'a Iwaliko and Xavier Leonard are not currently members of the team.
I wanted to know if more Aztecs football players might be involved.
I'm not asking you for names. I'm wondering if you're aware of other players who are involved in this investigation.
To this point, the only 3 people that we're aware of, the 3 people that were in the civils that have been confirmed by anyone that was party to the incident, are the 3 that have been named.
Initial reports indicated more players might have been involved in the alleged rape and that some of them lived at the house where the party took place.
Would you be aware, for example, which one of your players actually resided at that house in question?
I mean, we have records of players and what their addresses are.
How many players lived at that house?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
To his credit, athletic director J.D. Wicker did end up answering a lot of questions, at one point becoming visibly emotional.
One of our pillars is to create great human beings. And it's hard when the training you provide may not have been enough.
Now, the district attorney's office is reviewing the case for possible criminal charges. A decision is not expected for a few more weeks. And as that investigation continues, we're hearing from the alleged victim for the first time since her attorney filed that lawsuit. In July, she talked exclusively with CBS 8, but now she shared her story nationally with CBS News. She asked to remain anonymous, but says it's important for her to speak up.
Not only is it important to me so that they face consequences for what they did to me, but I mean, they also hadn't faced any consequences at all in so long that they might have felt like it's something that they can just do and get away with and then go on to be drafted into the NFL. It was really...
Now 18, she was 17 at the time of the alleged gang rape and says she went to police to report what happened to her the next day. We also heard this week from the parents of Matt Ariza. They released a statement defending their son against the rape allegations. It reads in part, quote, "The rule of law is innocent until proven guilty. That is not our experience. There has been war waged on our son. He has been tried and convicted in the media based on information released solely from the alleged victim and her attorney. He has been released from his job, and our entire family continues to receive horrific threats of violence and death. We have all been canceled, every member of our family. There are multiple witness reports to deny the claims against him. The legal system is designed to find the facts and make decisions. They should be allowed to do that." Now, in California, law enforcement has 120 days to have rape kits tested. And sexual assault survivors in San Diego have a new tool to hold police to that standard. SDPD has opened a new online portal to track those kits' progress through the system. CBS 8's Jasmine Ramirez reports on how advocates hope this will reduce the backlog of kits and give survivors peace of mind.
SDPD launched its online portal today. It's open for anyone who had a sexual assault exam after July 1st of this year.
This portal now gives survivors access to knowledge.
Jessica Pride is a local sexual assault attorney. Along with the new portal, she says rape kits must now be processed much quicker, within 120 days. This new time frame is a huge improvement. In the past, she's had clients wait more than a year for results.
To know where their case is at and in what stage of the process their rape kit is, so they know how much closer they are to getting justice.
We obtained data from the city that shows less than 11% of reported sexual assaults lead to an arrest. I asked Jessica how San Diego's arrest rate compares to other cities.
Depending on where you are around the country, the number's usually closer to about 5%.
She says sexual assault cases can be difficult to prosecute.
It's really hard for the district attorney's office to bring criminal action against an alleged perpetrator. They really have to make sure they have enough evidence.
We looked at the number of reported sexual assaults in San Diego from 2017 through June of this year. City data shows 315 arrests were made out of more than 3,000 reported cases citywide.
We have more information about the online portal for sexual assault survivors on CBS8.com. Just click the help button. Jasmine Ramirez, CBS 8.
So Snapdragon Stadium does open on September 3rd, and San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker, recently spent some time with our own John Howard to tell us how different the fan experience will be compared to the old Qualcomm Stadium.
All right, JD, I got to believe you feel like a kid on Christmas Day. You've opened the gift, and now it's time to share it with everybody. Is that an appropriate analogy, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, we've built a phenomenal stadium for the community of San Diego. There are going to be so many different, pieces that people are going to be able to look at and say, hey, yeah, no, that's really cool.
Tell us about the fan experience, and how will it be different from the 60-year-old stadium that used to be here?
Well, one, the stadium is much more intimate. Probably 80% of the seats sit inside what was the plaza section in the old stadium, so that low level rise, first level. A lot of social areas where people can go and hang out, and a lot of different premium experiences for people to check out. The piers is going to be awesome as you think about our coastal culture and piers going out into the ocean. Well, we have a pier going out into the Seedy Bowl so you can watch the football game, and so a lot of different areas where people can connect to.
I stood on that pier just a few minutes ago, and you're out there overlooking, not quite on top of the field, but it's a different perspective.
It is definitely a different perspective. I don't know, it sways a little bit too, so
I didn't experience that.
Interesting. We've double and triple checked that. The sway is okay. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a different, it's unique to any stadium in the country. Great food partners. I think we have 13 different local food partners. We've got great local craft beer in the building as well. So there's really going to be something for everybody to find in the building.
I'm a burger guy. I understand there's a Hodad's.
There will be a Hodad's in the building, so we're really excited about that.
Okay. You also mentioned there's some remnants of the old stadium. What are some of those highlights?
Jack Murphy's statue is going to be back for those that walked off the trolley to the old stadium. Jack Murphy and his dog.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Abe, I saw the other night, was his name. That will be at the stadium. We've got a paver area in the northeast corner of the building. The pavers are actually chunks of the old stadium.
Okay.
We've got some stuff for the Padres, some stuff that actually goes back to the Chargers. Different little, we're calling them Easter eggs for people to find that came out of the old stadium, as we pay homage to what was, a phenomenal building for the city of San Diego, and now we're ready for Snapdragon Stadium and Basher Field and all that it is to serve, the next, hopefully, 100 years for the city of San Diego.
Let me ask you how this helps recruiting, and I know it helps recruiting for football, that's obvious. Does it also help recruiting for the other sports, a women's volleyball player or a lacrosse player?
It's definitely a revenue stream that our athletic department has not seen before, so that revenue won't just help football, that revenue is going to go to the bottom line of every one of our sports and help us with the student-athlete experience for everyone. This is something that, you know, everybody in the community is going to be able to benefit from, and I'm excited that the stadium is the first piece of it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all of this, and we look forward to seeing that first game.
I appreciate it very much. We're excited to go Aztecs.
Sweet.
Go Aztecs for sure. Well, from Georgia Tech to SDSU, Derek Grice is one of many behind the design and creation of the new Snapdragon Stadium. As CBS 8's John Howard again explains, he spent the last 4 years making sure the new stadium is a reflection of the community it will serve.
And to put it in layman's terms, if I'm Paul McCartney and I want to perform here, are you the guy that I talk to?
We have people you can talk to about that, but I am in a nutshell, I'm overseeing the design, the construction, the operational planning, and the revenue generation for this project.
And you've been here about 3.5 years?
About 3.5 years, yes.
Are you happy with what you see?
Ecstatic. Ecstatic. We've got a lot we still have to do, but really, really proud of the product that we've been able to put together.
Okay. I know you came from Georgia Tech. How does this compare to some of what you saw there at Georgia Tech?
Well, I would say when you look at our building, we designed this to be unique to San Diego, and I believe that we've put together probably one of the best college experiences and atmospheres in the country. Pound per pound, that is what we're trying to accomplish, and I think we've been able to do that.
What makes this place unique for the fan experience? What will the fans see, especially maybe compared to Qualcomm Stadium that they had in the past?
For us, we really wanted to make it a very intimate environment. We really wanted to bring the fans closer to the field, all of our premium products closer to the field. Our seating bowl is a little steeper than you see in a lot. We also made sure for us, and this is unique to a college stadium, every one of our seats is a chair back seat. We also really wanted to make sure that we embodied San Diego in this community, and so we brought that in a lot of different ways, but we also know that we wanted to create an atmosphere experiential so that people had an opportunity to experience different things every time they came back to the stadium, and I think we've been able to accomplish that.
Very cool. The steeper angle of the bowls gets the fans closer. Does it make it louder too?
It should make it louder. We believe that we're going to create a unique home field advantage for our student athletes. That's something that quite honestly they haven't had in the past at a Qualcomm when you had such a cavernous big building. Now you bring our fans in, you get them closer to the field, you get them more involved and more engaged, and I think our student athletes are really going to feed off of that.
I also understand there's going to be a Hodads here. Do I commend you for bringing them in?
One of the hardest parts of my job was helping curate the food service with our talented people over at Aztec Shops. Really had to get out there and get in and really loosen up the belt and get after it and eat a bunch of foods, but really leaned into the local brands here. We've got 10 restaurant partners that are here local to San Diego.
Very cool. I also noticed, and just over my shoulder is a mural going up at the S on Cowles Mountain, which is more of a historic thing. Yeah. There's another mural of Tony Gwynn. So it's not just football, not just San Diego State, it's a little bit of history and everything else.
Absolutely. We wanted to make sure that we again connected with the community here in San Diego. We did that by use of local artists, through storytelling graphics. We did what we like to call Easter egg moments, where we've taken some things from the old stadium, from Jack Murphy, Qualcomm San Diego Stadium, whatever you want to refer to it as. Yep. That was a building that meant so much to so many people, and we wanted to create a stadium that's going to create new memories, and we wanted to have that connection. So we brought in pieces and brought that history here and tell the history of the land and the area around it, everything from when it was Kumeyaw land to dairy farms to the stadium to now Snapdragon Stadium.
Wow, how impressive. I can't wait to see it with my own eyes. I'm a proud Aztec myself. So Snapdragon will be much more than football and concerts. Abby Alford now shows us what you can expect to see and enjoy in the new Mission Valley development.
The anticipation of the show. Roaring in their new seats as the Aztecs run out onto their new yard. Welcome to Snapdragon Stadium.
When someone comes to the stadium for the first time, I want them to feel an overwhelming sense of pride that San Diego State University now has its own, football stadium, an own home place to call home.
San Diego State's Associate Vice President of the Mission Valley Development, Gina Jacobs, says that they broke ground 382 days ago. Since then, they demolished the former Qualcomm Stadium and built a 35,000 capacity stadium from the ground up.
We've had 4,000 people come through the site over the course of time since we started construction in August of 2020. 1.2 million hours of work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Qualcomm Stadium isn't completely gone.
Over there you can see that pile of concrete. That is actually Qualcomm Stadium crushed up into tiny pieces.
Concrete will be reused throughout Snapdragon Stadium, along with some other green measures.
From the operations in terms of composting and all of the water saving sort of measures throughout the building, as well as the construction methods that we used on the site.
The SDSU alum says 90% of Qualcomm Stadium was recycled.
The old Jack Murphy statue that used to be at the trolley when you got off the trolley is now going to be located over here at the stadium.
But there's more than just sports and concerts featuring Jimmy Buffett and Jason Mraz on Blaster Field on the 166 acres.
There will be parking and tailgating for Snapdragon Stadium, but eventually it will be built into its own community.
Well, that entire gray area, area that you see out there is what will be temporary parking. But in the future, that's where we'll have residential housing.
Among the 4,600 residents that will include affordable housing, there will be a 400-room hotel and retail that could fit nearly 2 football fields.
And there's some grass that's there right now, but those are future locations for Innovation District buildings. So for future research and lab and office buildings that will be located right there.
Surrounding the 1.6 million square feet of technology and research space for SDSU students and faculty will be the second phase of this project that will have 80 acres of open space and a river park.
34 acres of park space along the San Diego River, active and passive recreation, lots of hiking and walking trails and biking trails, children's play area.
An area for everyone to play.
SDSU Mission Valley is really built for San Diego.
San Diego State says the Riverwalk project should be completed by next year.
Abby, thanks so much. Now, as for the name, Snapdragon Stadium is named after a division of Qualcomm.
Understand that scrubs are just a part of this program.
Well, Monday's launch was scrubbed for the much anticipated Artemis 1 mission to the moon. Issues arose during countdown that caused NASA to hold off on the launch. In the meantime, our Brian White is learning of an SDSU alumnus contribution to the Artemis program.
Great things are worth waiting for, and as NASA regroups for another potential launch later this week, I want to tell you about a connection Artemis 1 has with SDSU.
This is Artemis Launch Control. Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson has called a scrub.
The most powerful rocket ever built by NASA did not leave the launch pad Monday morning after several issues were detected, including a fuel leak and engine 3 was not cooling properly.
The exhaust is thousands of degrees, and so you got to cool those engines down or else they'll melt. So there's lines of coolant that go into them and keep it cool. They were testing those lines to make sure that they could cool down the engines, and one of them did not cool down.
SDSU professor of astronomy Robert Quimby is also director of the Mount Laguna Observatory, and he's been following the work of an SDSU alumna, Shide Naderi, who now works for NASA on a team involved with the Artemis program.
She's come up with a system for how we can move the fuel, this very, very cold fuel, from one place to another in a harsh environment like the moon. She came up with a way using magnets to actually make sure, first of all, your couplings stay together and you don't have to fuss with them. They'll just pop right together. And to make sure that that's going to transfer your fuel without having problems with moon dust.
Naderi's accomplishments with NASA are inspiring other young women at SDSU in the aerospace engineering program.
Knowing that there's space for SDSU at NASA is inspiring, and it definitely lets us know that, okay, if we work hard, stay disciplined, stay focused, we can achieve these opportunities just like they did.
Kaylin Borders and Nathalia Del Callejo are leaders in the Women in Aeronautics and Astronautics Club at SDSU. And they say even though the launch didn't happen, progress was made.
Even though it's a scrub launch, it's not a failed launch, because in the end, like the engineers still learned from it and are able to make those changes and make the next opportunity, an even better one. That way, once this rocket does hold humans, it will be absolutely safe.
NASA says the next available window to launch will be this Friday, September 2nd. At SDSU, I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
Good stuff, Brian. Well, this week, students in the San Diego Unified School District headed back to class. And for the first time in nearly 2.5 years, they no longer have to wear masks. The Logan Memorial Education Campus is also welcoming its first high school students and staff this school year. The pre-K through 12 campus is the first of its kind in California. It's based on the Montessori model, encouraging independence and creativity. The high school is the first ever built in Logan Heights.
And I grew up just about 8 blocks away. And we had to think about, going from Emerson to, are we going to go to Memorial? Are we going to go to Gompers? And then if you go to Gompers, are you going to go to Lincoln? Or are you going to go to San Diego High?
Yeah, not anymore, huh? Logan Memorial is only adding 9th graders this year. Higher grades will be added in the coming years. Well, earlier this year, the real estate market was red hot. Sellers were seeing multiple offers, many well over asking price, and homes were sold after just days on the market. Now the latest trend is a spike in housing cancellations due to higher mortgage rates. Some experts fear a housing recession. Abby Alford explains the latest on buying and selling in Paradise.
Real estate agents say that we're not in a housing recession. Rather, the market is stabilizing, meaning homes like this with fantastic views are remaining on the market for about 30 to 45 days, which was typical pre-pandemic.
Panoramic views of San Diego Bay, Mount Soledad, and the Pacific. Yet this 2+ bedroom, 2-bath, 2,500 square foot smart home priced at $2.3 million in Bay Park has been sitting on the market since May.
I mean, everything's brand new, all the plumbing, electrical. It kind of surprises me, yeah.
We spoke to the homeowner, Kim Alger, over Zoom while she and her husband are vacationing in Wisconsin.
We're not really motivated at this point. We love our home. We're retired, so it's time to get out and travel and do things and see if we can sell it.
Like Alger, real estate agents say sellers want to get in on the hot housing market, but with the interest rates going from below 3% during the pandemic to 6.5% today, buyers are not as eager.
I saw a funny meme of a skeleton sitting on a bench, and it says, waiting for the house market to crash. Still waiting. So we may not see a crash.
Frank Powell listed Alger's home and is also the president-elect for the San Diego Association of Realtors, and says in July, the average median home price was $969,000. Although the market has cooled off, sales in San Diego County are up 9% compared to last year.
So we're seeing buyers from New York come here, buyers from Silicon Valley, buyers from San Francisco.
But are they the reason why they're driving it up and why middle class has a hard time buying a house?
So if you want to solve the problem, you got to build more houses.
Powell says there's another challenge out there that younger buyers are bypassing their starter homes.
What we're seeing is people saying, I want my dream house or something they can't afford on any grounds.
The real estate agents suggest starting small will be a big payoff.
If you can get into the market just buying something small like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, get in there. You may have to have sacrifices, but that's how you start your generational wealth.
Here are 3 takeaways if you're planning to buy or sell. Frank says first, you need to plan this out, whether this be 1 to 2 years or 5 years down the road. Also, find out where do you want to live and how much do you want to spend. Remember, it doesn't hurt to have a licensed real estate agent help you out.
Good stuff, Abby. Thanks. Well, now to a brain tumor survivor who taught himself how to walk again, bought a fitness club to inspire then San Diegans. So as we take you in the Zevoli zone, Jeff goes to Little Italy for one big comeback story.
Kevin Switzer is running, and once you hear his story, you'll know it's no small miracle.
The brain tumor doctors discovered inside Kevin's head in 2019, and the scar that followed tell it all.
I never talk about this.
It's a story this 37-year-old father has never shared publicly.
I thought we were married, we're having our kid, like this is not supposed to happen.
At the time, Kevin and his wife, Letitia, were expecting their first child.
I want to say I was just shocked, and I just was like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to make it. 9 more months, 6 more months until like my daughter's born.
Following his 10-hour brain surgery,
I was like, cool, let's go, I'm fine. And they're like, you're not fine.
Kevin was unaware he'd suffered 2 strokes during surgery.
Letitia, why couldn't he go home?
He couldn't walk. He wasn't making sense of anything that he was saying.
Kevin had to learn how to walk and talk again. Even solving a children's puzzle seemed impossible.
Oh my gosh, this is so hard.
In the middle of Kevin's recovery, they adopted this boxer named Victory. And then Kevin signed up for a half marathon, although at the time he could hardly walk.
At night, Kevin bonded with Victory, and during the day, he trained for the half marathon when he should have been in bed.
I don't have a piece of my skull in that picture.
Kevin was missing a 3x4-inch block of his skull and ran with a helmet on his head to protect his brain.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been me, but yeah, we did it. And she was 9 months pregnant.
I'm thinking, whatever you want, I'm right by your side. We'll make it happen.
And it was right by Kevin's side. Letitia ran the race.
He is resilient.
The experience compelled Kevin and Letitia to buy Stride Fitness in Little Italy, where they hope to inspire others.
First time you've shared this story?
Outside of our friends, yeah. I don't want people to think it's for promotional purposes or like, hey, he's doing this because, you know, he wants attention.
Kevin and Letitia welcomed Olivia into the world, who is now 3.
Is she old enough to know what a stud you are?
And a little sister, Zoe, followed just in time to watch her dad hit his stride.
I feel like I'm, yeah.
He totally is, yeah.
In the Zevely zone,
the couple who runs together.
Jeff Zevely.
Stay together.
CBS 8.
Oh, I have goosebumps, Jeff, thanks. Kevin says that his recovery is now 85% complete. If you'd like to learn more about Stride Fitness, visit the Zevely Zone page on CBS8.com. Well, we hear a lot of stories about the environment that may seem like a lot of negativity or even make it sound like we're doomed. That's why as soon as CBS 8's Netta Iranpour saw what researchers had discovered about our coral reef, she jumped at the chance to look into this for you and hopefully bring you something positive to provide hope.
We bring the images back to the lab and digitize them.
More than 1,500 images that take 1 to 2 hours each to go through. And Audie Ken is dedicated to outlining the different species of coral in these images. She's a PhD candidate working at Jennifer Smith's lab at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. She uses colors to clearly differentiate each species, and her data collection turns into its own work of art.
Like here you can see there are only a couple patches.
But what she does is far beyond magic with Photoshop. This research helps track progress and positivity. That's because she has witnessed signs of life and growth even after massive bleaching of coral reefs.
It's really inspiring. It's really rewarding and gratifying to get to work on a system that's healthy and despite climate impacts.
The images Audie and graduate and undergrad students have gone through come from Palmyra, an American territory, an island in the Pacific Ocean about 800 miles south of Hawaii that's only used by researchers.
It's teeming with life. Palmyra is really intense, like it can rain 1 minute and be hot and humid the next. It's loud with birds calling all the time. Fish everywhere on the reef. It has a huge abundance of life.
Scuba divers take 80 images of Palmyra's reef at the same spots at least once a year. The plots are half a meter.
I actually know a lot of the individual coral colonies by heart, and I've been following them through time year after year. I get to watch them grow and change. I got to visit for the first time in 2020. And it felt like visiting old friends.
That was when everything was bleached.
In 2015, Palmyra's coral started to nearly die off. That's when 90% of the reef was bleaching. But about 2 years later, Audie points out the regrowth.
Despite there being these big warm water events and coral bleaching that did occur there, the reefs have been able to bounce back.
Jennifer Smith is a professor at UC San Diego, and this is her lab. You might say coral reefs are her expertise.
This is the rock that the coral builds as it's growing. When you have a reef like this, the whole thing is built out of the rock that the corals laid down. Each one of these represents a different species, and there could be hundreds of species of corals on a given reef.
She explains the value they have on our planet.
Deposit rock essentially as they're growing, and that creates these massive barriers around tropical islands. It creates surf, but it prevents erosion. It helps those islands resist damage from tsunamis and big storms. They're important for fisheries, they're important for tourism. They generate huge amounts of revenue.
You can see how within the same coral colony, some branches can be alive, some can be partially bleached, some can be dead and covered in algae.
That's just a small sample used by Smith's lab. In the ocean, coral reef make up less than 1%, but they become home to nearly a quarter of the ocean's species. And what this team's latest research has discovered is when left untouched, like at Palmyra, without stresses of overfishing, pollution, coastal development, or tourism, coral can return to its healthy habitat.
One of the most important things I think we've learned from this story of hope is that by managing human impacts locally, managing what we put into the seawater, managing fishing, managing all of these activities that we do on land, we can give reefs a better chance of recovering and resisting these thermal assaults that are going to happen in the future.
For Earth 8 in La Jolla, I'm Netta Iranpour.
Netta, thank you. So nice to share some positive news with you. Well, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for staying informed. Hope you join me each week as I take you around San Diego. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take good care of yourself.